Tonight, 3,700 casino workers at MGM Grand, Motor City, and Hollywood Casino Greektown now on the picket line. Those workers walked off the job at noon when the negotiations for a new contract failed by the deadline.
Meanwhile, the UAW strike is now on day 33 with no deal in sight still. Yesterday, Ford's executive chairman, in a rare move, Bill Ford, called on the union to come back to the table and help reach a deal, saying the future of the company is at risk and that communities across the country could be devastated if this goes on for too long.
We've been seeing it for a while now. Back with us again tonight to get some insight on these strikes that we're seeing is Marick Masters, Wayne State Professor of Management and also an expert in unions. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So we've been reporting on so many strikes across industries. I don't remember the last time I've had to say strike so many times within a short span of time. Is this a sign of the positioning of unions or just where we are in the world right now?
Well, I think it is very much a sign of the positioning of unions. They're trying to reclaim what they lost, what workers lost over several decades in terms of declining wages and a reduced standard of living. And that is what the struggle is all about from their perspective. It's about getting workers higher wages so that they don't have to struggle paycheck to paycheck.
So the Casino Council, which represents 5 of these unions, they're saying something pretty similar. It sounds familiar with the UAW strike. They made some concessions in the early days of the pandemic. They agreed to a minimal wage increase, and they want to be paid back for that now. Similar to what we've heard from the UAW, they made some concessions around the Great Recession. They want to be paid back for it now. Do you think the companies recognize that the workers did make these concessions, or would they sing a different tune?
I think they recognize it. The question is whether they're willing enough to do about it to satisfy the unions, and at this point they're not. And I think it's the same situation that the UAW is with the big 3. It's interesting that the UAW is one of those unions that is part of the Detroit coalition of the casino workers. They represent dealers, and they represent 1,000 of those workers. So they're facing the same issues there, which are wages, job security. Associated with that is technology and also retirement security.
So we've seen the automakers talk about the fact that if this continues and stretches on, this could have a big impact on their future. With the casinos now seeing the same thing, are you thinking that this will be a similar story that we're hearing?
Well, it's estimated that on a daily basis it'll cost the casinos about $3.4 million. Now, these two of the casino owners, Penn Entertainment and MGM Resorts International, they generated about $20 billion of revenue last year. And in earnings before taxes, they generated about $3 billion, both of them together, in earnings last year. And they have a fair amount of cash. Between the two of them, they have a little over $7 billion in cash. They can sustain a strike for a while, but obviously, they are in a somewhat different position because they're going to continue their operations while the workers are on strike. And how they go about doing this, whether they use supervisors or whether they bring in replacements, there's been a lot of displacement in this industry. They lost a lot of jobs, and in the Detroit area, they lost 1,500 jobs during the pandemic. And so they're on the rebound now, but they haven't recovered to pre-pandemic levels.
So that sounds like some leverage for the casinos. Is that going to be hard for the workers to overcome in their strike?
Well, I think it's a balance between the two, but these workers tend to be workers that you might say from the point of view of some of them, the skill level are not as hard to replace. And because there have been so many layoffs in this industry, there may be more people looking for jobs to fill those positions. But nonetheless, it is a blow to the companies in the sense that anytime they have a disruption in service, this is a 24/7 business, and they struggle to try and survive during the period of a strike. But it'll be ultimately a test somewhat of economic strength. And on balance, I would have to say in any type of situation like this, the leverage lies with the employers.
When you look at the economy and inflation, a lot of people are very frustrated. Would you say that plays a role and a factor in some of these employees being more emboldened to go on strike?
Oh, very much so. They're looking at what's happened at the UAW in general and other industries, airline pilots, the riders, and they're saying these workers are out there struggling for more, and we believe that we're entitled to just as much, and we're going to go to the mat too.
All right. Professor Marick Masters, thanks always for joining us.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.